Morning everyone. Today I'm going to introduce you to a magnificent substance called Marmoleum. Marmoleum is a type of linoleum. It is a commercial flooring product, but it just happens to have a much better cutting surface than the grey lino that is produced for lino cuts. This is because it's slightly harder and therefore takes a cutting line much more crisply. Okay, so what you've got to do is source yourself some Marmoleum from a flooring person, and then you've got to abrade the surface with a wet and dry sponge. I don't know if they have wet and dry sponges in America. I'm sure they do. What it is it's a sponge that's coated in carborundum grit, so it's a pretty effective abrasive, and then once you've done that, it's necessary to do that to get the surface off the Marmoleum, because it won't take the ink very well. Once you've done that, you then wipe down the whole thing with a rag soaked in methylated spirits, ethyl alcohol, and then it's good to go. So what I've done in this case, I've done a tracing of a photograph which I've then inked in with indelible ink pens. Takes quite a lot of time to do, but the more you put into the prep, the easier it is to cut. Now I'm having one of these moments now where I'm starting to feel a bit hypnotized, because there's something about this cutting process, I swear, that it's releasing endorphins or something, because it's so very hypnotic. I'm having difficulty talking to you now because the cutting process is drawing me in. Now, the thing is, I've been cutting lino for 40 years or more, and I find that I'm learning new things about my profession all the time. I hesitate to call myself an expert because people are always teaching me new things. However, out there in internet land, there are lots of, I hesitate to say this, but they are most often American men who have been cutting lino for sometimes up to a month or more, who consider themselves to be experts and are now rather imperiously dispensing advice. When I'm looking at how-to videos, particularly ones to do with Linocut on the internet, a good rule of thumb is, if you see in the covering photograph, the covering image, red-handled gouges or red-handled rollers, just scroll on, because it's kind of, there's nothing wrong with amateurism. There's nothing wrong with not being a professional lino cutter, for God's sakes. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you need to try and purchase the best materials you possibly can, because if you're respecting what you're doing, you should have respect for your time and use the very best materials and print as professionally as you possibly can, surely, shouldn't you? Why is your time any less valuable just because you're not doing it professionally? Alright, so Marmoleum, that's the stuff. It's it's 100% natural so far as I know. It's a brand name, Marmoleum, for linoleum, but Marmoleum suggests that possibly it has marble dust in the mixture, because of marmol in Spanish is marble. That's my reasoning for that. I don't care enough about that to bother to research into it. It's just an idle remark. It's taking me over, so I better stop now. See you later. Goodbye from Black Pig Printmaking Studio here in Frome in Somerset in the UK. I've been Chris Pig.